You thought you were doing everything right. You gave up toast, skipped the sugary cereal, traded morning comfort for what you were told was health. A blender became your daily companion, a quiet vow of discipline. You reached for berries, spinach, almond milk, a spoon of flax or nut butter, maybe a scoop of protein. It felt like a shield against disease, against decline, against time itself. You trusted the process because it came from people who looked confident, sounded convincing, and promised you energy, balance, and glow. But something underneath it all started to feel off. Your mornings drag. There's a tightness in your belly you never used to notice, a fog behind your eyes, a strange fatigue that clings even after sleep. You write it off as aging, as stress. But deep down, your body is whispering something else, something you've been too busy, too trusting, too loyal to routine to hear. Your liver doesn't care about clean labels or colorful blends. It only knows the weight of what it has to process. And every morning when you drink that thick swirl of superfoods, it gets hit with a wave of ingredients it has to untangle, filter, sort, detox, and digest. What once was manageable has become a strain, because the older you get, the more delicate the balance becomes. Your filters slow, your thresholds shrink, and your rituals, if unchecked, can become burdens. You're not failing, and you've just been holding onto something that no longer fits the way your body now works. And the truth isn't cruel, it's clarifying. Your body isn't betraying you, it's inviting you to evolve, to listen closer, and to stop confusing complexity with care. You did what they told you. You took charge of your mornings. You cleared the pantry, pushed the pastries aside, and built your day on plants, powders, and purpose. You blended your discipline into a glass and drank it down with hope, because everything in it sounded right. Organic berries, a handful of greens, maybe a touch of turmeric or collagen, no sugar, no shortcuts, just whole foods, just health. And still, your body pushes back. It's subtle at first, a sluggish start, a strange fullness in your belly. You chalk it up to stress or sleep, but the signs keep coming. Your skin flares, your stomach rebels, your energy dips by 10, climbs by noon, crashes by 3. You feel like you're running uphill in soft sand, and it doesn't add up. You're not cheating, you're not indulging, you're following the plan. But the plan isn't following you, because clean doesn't always mean kind. Not to a liver that's already working overtime, not to a metabolism that's slowed with age. That smoothie, so smooth going down, might be stirring up chaos inside. A hit of fruit sugars that overwhelm your insulin, a wall of fiber that clogs instead of clears, a cocktail of ingredients that collide like traffic in a narrowing lane. Your gut doesn't move like it did, your enzymes don't fire the same, and your liver, the quiet, tireless guardian behind it all, has been absorbing the brunt of what your habits forgot to consider. You don't need to throw it all away, but you need to see it clearly now. The cloudy feeling isn't random, it's not weakness, it's not age punishing you, it's wisdom surfacing. Your body is trying to speak in the only language it knows, through discomfort, through shifts, through subtle alarms. And the longer you ignore them, the louder they'll get. It doesn't complain out loud. It doesn't ache like a joint or throb like a tooth. It doesn't swell where you can see it or bruise where you can touch. But it holds everything, every sip, every swallow, every supplement, every blend. It runs through the liver first, the silent sentinel, the unsung gatekeeper, the organ no one talks about until it's too late. And by the time it shows up in lab work or medical charts, it's already been fighting for years. Your liver filters more than you know, not just toxins, not just alcohol. It processes nutrients, stores energy, regulates hormones, breaks down fats, clears old cells, neutralizes inflammation, and manages your metabolism's endless demands. It's like a traffic controller in a storm, making life possible behind the scenes. But with every smoothie poured full of fruits, fats, powders, and proteins, it's forced to keep up with a pace it no longer thrives under. Especially now, especially as you age. You didn't mean to overwhelm it. You thought you were helping, but blending 10 different ingredients into a thick wave of health and flooding your body first thing in the morning isn't gentle. It's fast, it's forceful. It bypasses the slow, natural rhythms your body needs to digest, absorb, and heal. And over time, the liver starts to strain, not in dramatic ways, but in whispers. Fatigue, bloating, skin issues, weight resistance, elevated blood pressure, foggy thoughts. You feel it before you understand it. This isn't about guilt. This is about mercy, for the organ that never stops working, for the part of you that's been holding the line even as your habits pushed it past the edge. It's not too late, but it is time to listen, because the one thing your liver needs now is a break. It sounds innocent, just fruit. Just a banana, a handful of berries, maybe some mango or a splash of orange juice to brighten it up. It feels natural, simple, even healing. You've been told fruit is good for the heart, good for digestion, good for longevity. So when you load your smoothie with it, you feel like you're doing something right, something pure. But your body has another opinion, because fruit sugar doesn't act like other sugars. Fructose, especially in high amounts, goes straight to the liver. It doesn't get burned off by your muscles like glucose. It gets funneled to the very place that's already doing too much. And when you take multiple fruits, remove their fiber, liquefy them and drink them quickly, your liver doesn't get a gentle stream, it gets a flood. A sweet, well-intentioned overload. And over time, that overload starts turning into fat around your belly, inside your liver, on your labs. This isn't about demonizing fruit. It's about understanding what changes when your body changes. At 25, your liver can handle a lot. At 65, it needs moderation and timing. It needs space between tasks, not a morning sprint. And the problem isn't one apple or a few blueberries. It's the pattern. The habit of relying on fruit-heavy smoothies day after day, thinking you're doing something cleansing, when really you're crowding the very system you're trying to protect. You don't see the strain, but you feel the ripple, the slow weight gain despite effort. The afternoon crash, the fasting blood sugar creeping up, the cholesterol that won't come down, and you wonder what you're missing. You're not missing willpower. You're missing the truth about fruit, the truth that even nature's sugar has a threshold, especially when it hits all at once. You don't see inflammation. It doesn't announce itself with sirens. It moves quietly through your joints, your skin, your sleep. One day your knees ache a little more. Another day your hands feel stiff. Your digestion feels slower, your mood's more uneven. You tell yourself it's age, maybe genetics, maybe just a rough week. But it's not random, it's not sudden. It's building meal by meal, sip by sip, starting in places you thought were safe. Smoothies can look healing but become triggers, especially the ones loaded with fruit, protein powders, dairy, or thick nut butters. They can stir up blood sugar spikes, gut imbalances, and subtle allergic reactions that feed inflammation under the surface. They ask your body to process too many things at once: fats, sugars, fibers, additives, all thrown into a single blend. For a younger metabolism, it might be manageable, but for a body that's weathered decades of wear, it's too much, too fast, too often. And your liver, it's at the center of it all. When inflammation rises, your liver works overtime to filter out inflammatory byproducts, neutralize histamines, manage hormone responses, and break down fat-soluble toxins. But if you're giving it more fuel for the fire, like excess fruit sugar, processed proteins, or inflammatory fats, it can't keep up. The fire grows, slowly, silently. You don't need to feel scared, you need to feel informed, because what's flaring your inflammation might be hiding behind a label called healthy, and when the body is already inflamed, even the cleanest food can become a spark. But inflammation is not permanent. It's not your fate. It's your signal. A sign that something inside you is asking, not for more effort, not for stricter rules, but for a softer kind of care. You bought them with confidence. The kale, the chia, the spirulina, the almond butter. You filled your pantry and your fridge with promise. You believed that more was better, that if one good thing helped, 10 would heal. So you packed them in, your blender brimming with nutrients, your glass thick with green. It looked like wellness. It tasted like effort. But your body, it felt overwhelmed, because not all healthy is harmless. Kale carries oxalates, sharp, microscopic crystals that build in the kidneys and irritate sensitive systems. Chia and flax are dense with fiber, but too much can clog a gut that's slowed with age. Nut butters, full of fat, ask the liver to work harder to emulsify, process, and sort. Protein powders often sneak in additives, emulsifiers, sweeteners, and synthetic isolates. Ingredients your digestion might have tolerated once, but now resist. Your liver doesn't judge these things. It just handles them or tries to until it can't, until the buildup outpaces the breakdown, until you feel heavy after something light, until your bowels change, your skin changes, your blood work shifts. These aren't accidents, they're signals, messages from a body that's not falling apart, but adapting. You don't need to fear your food, but you do need to relearn your body, the one you have now, not the one from 10 years ago. And that means understanding that what the internet calls superfoods might be too supercharged for a slower system. That healing isn't about piling on, it's about peeling back, simplifying, choosing ingredients that don't just sound right, but feel right when they move through you. This is your body's quiet wisdom. And when you stop long enough to hear it, you realize health isn't in the hype, it's in the harmony between what you give and what your body can receive. Your body doesn't scream, it whispers, it nudges, it leaves clues. A bitter taste in your mouth after breakfast, a tightness beneath the ribs that fades but never fully disappears, a strange fullness in your belly even when you've barely eaten. The skin around your eyes looks dull, your sleep lighter, your patience thinner. These aren't coincidences, these are messages from the inside, from the parts of you that don't know how to lie, but you've been trained to override them, to push past discomfort, to power through fatigue, to trust labels more than your own intuition. You told yourself this smoothie had antioxidants. You reminded yourself it was dairy-free, sugar-free, plant-based. You believed if it was good on paper, it had to be good for you. But paper doesn't process digestion. It doesn't handle fructose or emulsifiers or oxalates. Your liver does. And lately, it's been sending you signals that it's tired of carrying the weight in silence. You might think these signs are too small to matter, but the body rarely begins with a crisis. It begins with subtle changes, changes that become chronic that becomes a condition. Until one day, the labs reflect what the fatigue had already been trying to say. You didn't miss it because you were careless. You missed it because you were trying so hard to be healthy that you forgot to notice when your version of healthy stopped working. This isn't a rebuke, it's an invitation to listen deeper, to track the patterns, to notice what foods leave you feeling grounded and which leave you feeling off. Your body is not trying to punish you, it's trying to protect you. And if you start treating its whispers like wisdom instead of inconvenience, healing becomes less about control and more about compassion. You've heard it for years. Add more greens. Add more berries, more boosters, more powders, more omega-3s, more antioxidants. Stack it high, blend it thick. The logic is seductive. If one good thing is healthy, then more must be even healthier. And so your morning glass becomes a symphony of superfoods, a crowded collection of intentions. You feel proud of the effort, of the color, the texture, the ritual, but over time your body feels something different. Because more isn't always better. Sometimes it's just more. More for your digestion to untangle, more for your liver to filter, more for your gut bacteria to ferment or resist. When your system is young and resilient, it can keep up. But as you age, things slow down, not in failure, but in wisdom. Your body becomes more selective, more sensitive to overload. And when you give it 12 ingredients before the sun is fully up, it responds, not with gratitude, but with fatigue. There's a point where nutrition becomes noise, where the mix of raw greens, high fructose fruits, dense fats, and synthetic powders creates chaos instead of clarity. Your blood sugar rises, your stomach churns, your energy dips by noon, and you wonder why your healthy choices don't feel so healthy anymore. The answer isn't to do more, it's to do less, but do it better. To stop throwing every trending ingredient into the blender and start asking what your body truly needs. Maybe that's one fruit, one green, a touch of healthy fat. Maybe it's warm tea instead of cold smoothies. Maybe it's no smoothie at all. Because wisdom isn't in excess. It's in discernment, in trusting that health isn't a race to add. It's a practice of learning when to subtract. It started with good intentions. You wanted something fast, clean, energizing. A smoothie felt like the perfect answer. No pans to wash, no heavy feeling in your gut, just a cold glass of nutrients to carry you into the day. It became a habit, a rhythm, something you didn't question because it seemed to work until it didn't. You began to notice the shift. You drank the smoothie, but you were hungry again in an hour. You started craving carbs by mid-morning. You needed snacks just to stay level. Your weight refused to budge, no matter how disciplined you were. And the harder you tried, the more protein you added, the more metabolism boosters you blended, the more stuck your body felt. Something beneath the surface was resisting. That something was your metabolism. And what looked like a harmless morning routine had become a trap. A spike of sugar, yes, even from fruit, followed by a crash, a surge of insulin quietly packing away what your body didn't burn. Your liver scrambling to process it all, your digestive system jolted awake by cold and complexity, fighting to keep up. Over time, the smoothie wasn't smoothing anything, it was destabilizing the very balance you were trying to protect. This isn't about blaming the blender, it's about reclaiming your morning. Understanding that a habit can start with healing and drift into harm if your body outgrows it. You don't need to give up food. You need to give up the idea that quick equals kind, that blended equals balanced. Your metabolism isn't broken. It's asking for something slower, simpler, steadier. And the first step is not to fuel it faster, but to listen before you feed it. It doesn't ask for much. The liver doesn't beg. It doesn't panic. It just keeps going, doing the quiet work no one applauds. Processing toxins, balancing hormones, filtering the bloodstream, managing blood sugar, supporting digestion. It handles everything until everything becomes too much. And by the time your body starts showing signs, your liver's been whispering for a while. What it wants now isn't complexity, it's simplicity. Not 15 ingredients crushed into one glass, not powders you can't pronounce, not superfoods stacked on top of each other like trophies. It wants rest, it wants gentleness, it wants a break from the endless parade of health. Because health, for a liver that's aged with you, doesn't look like excess, it looks like ease. You don't need to cut everything, but you need to strip things down. Fewer ingredients, slower digestion, less fruit, more fiber, less variety in one meal, more variety over time. Your liver thrives when it's not overwhelmed, when it can focus, when it's not decoding the signals from 10 different foods before you've even had a chance to breathe into the day. There's a power in quiet nourishment. In a smoothie made of 2 or 3 gentle ingredients like cucumber, avocado, maybe a hint of ginger. In a meal that doesn't spike, shock, or flood your system. In remembering that health isn't something you need to chase with speed. It's something you build with care. This is your liver's request, not for perfection, but for peace. And as you age, honoring that request isn't a restriction, it's a gift. One that allows your body to heal, your energy to return, and your mornings to feel like a beginning again, instead of a battle your liver has to fight alone. Your body loves rhythm, but not repetition. It was never designed to eat the same thing every day in the same way. It needs variety to stay vibrant. It needs pause to recover. But somewhere along the line, your good habit became a fixed one. The same smoothie every morning, the same fruits, the same greens, the same routine, day after day, week after week. You didn't mean to overdo it. You meant to be consistent. But consistency without variation becomes strain. Your liver doesn't get a break. It wakes up with you and meets the same metabolic load over and over. The same oxalates from spinach, the same fructose from bananas, the same fats from nut butters or seeds. Over time, it's not just bored, it's burdened. The enzymes it uses to break things down, they fatigue. The pathways that carry toxins out, they get backed up. And what once felt like fuel now feels like friction. This is where rest becomes medicine. Not starving, not skipping meals, but giving the body space to recalibrate, rotating your ingredients, taking a few days off from smoothies altogether, swapping spinach for herbs, banana for low glycemic fruits, almond milk for water or tea. Changing the pattern lets your body adapt, and adaptation is where true healing begins. You don't need a perfect plan. You need awareness, a willingness to stop repeating what no longer feels good, even if it once did, and permission to explore what your body needs now, not what it needed 5 years ago. Because health isn't built on rigid routine. It's built on gentle cycles of action and rest, nourishment and pause, effort and ease. Your body is waiting for that balance. And your liver, it's been asking for it all along. You haven't done anything wrong. You've done what you were told, what felt responsible, smart, preventative. But your body today is not your body from 10 years ago. What once energized you now leaves you sluggish. What once digested easily now lingers and bloats. The rules have changed, not because you failed, but because you've evolved. And now it's time for your food to evolve with you. This isn't about giving things up. It's about trading in what no longer serves you for something that does. Not less flavor, not less joy, but less stress on the systems that carry you every day. Smoothies can still be part of your routine, but not the way they used to be. Not with sugar-forward fruits, inflammatory dairy, or processed powders your liver has to wrestle with. So what does a smoothie that supports your age actually look like? It starts with intention. Low glycemic fruits like avocado or small amounts of berries. Ones that offer fiber without flooding your blood sugar. Gentle greens like fresh parsley or romaine instead of daily doses of spinach or kale. A liquid base like filtered water or unsweetened almond milk. Light, neutral, liver-friendly. A scoop of ground flax instead of nut butter. A touch of cinnamon, ginger, or turmeric. Not just for flavor, but for support. Every choice becomes a quiet kindness. Every ingredient a conversation with your body instead of a command. This is how you begin again. Not by fearing food, but by forging a new relationship with it, one that respects the years you've lived and the signals your body now sends. This isn't about shrinking your diet, it's about expanding your awareness. And when you shift from autopilot to attentiveness, something beautiful happens. The fog lifts, the bloat settles, the fatigue softens, and your body finally feels heard. Not all smoothies are created equal. Some wear the costume of health but carry a hidden cost. A cost your younger body might have absorbed without consequence. But now every sip has weight. And your liver, your metabolism, your gut, they're keeping score. This isn't about fear. It's about freedom. Freedom to release what no longer supports you, even if it once did. Here are 5 types of smoothies that silently work against you. 1. All fruit blends. They taste like dessert and flood your bloodstream just as fast. Bananas, mangoes, pineapples, dates, stacked together, they spike blood sugar, overwhelm your liver with fructose, and leave you crashing. One fruit is fine, a medley becomes a metabolic ambush. 2. Protein powders with additives. Even the ones labeled clean often hide emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, and isolates your body, doesn't digest easily. For a slowing digestive tract and a liver on overload, they create more confusion than clarity. 3. Daily spinach or kale smoothies. Rich in oxalates, these greens build up over time. What began as a detox becomes a slow accumulation, causing kidney stress, joint stiffness, or gut irritation. Rotation matters. Gentler greens ease the burden. 4. Dairy-based blends. Whey, yogurt, milk. They can inflame an already sensitive system. Dairy taxes digestion, thickens mucus, and can quietly feed inflammation, especially when hidden inside a smoothie that seems light. Femte nut butter heavy blends, almond butter, peanut butter, even healthy fats in excess bog down the liver. Fat is not the enemy, but too much, too dense, too often. It slows everything down, including your energy. Replacing these isn't deprivation, it's liberation. Liberation from the crash, the bloat, the confusion. And what comes next isn't emptiness. It's a new clarity, one where your smoothie supports you, not just in theory, but in how you feel. An hour later, a day later, a week later, that's the real test, and your body already knows the answer. It doesn't take 10 ingredients to nourish you. It takes intention, it takes listening, it takes less. Because healing doesn't come from stacking every superfood into one glass. It comes from finding the ones your body receives with ease. And that's the shift. From impressive to effective, from packed to peaceful, from complicated to clean. Start with the base. Not milk, not juice, just filtered water, herbal tea, or unsweetened almond milk. Something your body can welcome without having to defend itself. Add a soft fruit like avocado or a handful of frozen zucchini. These don't spike blood sugar. They soothe the gut. They give your liver space to breathe. For flavor and support, blend in fresh herbs, mint, parsley, cilantro, or warming spices like cinnamon and ginger. Anti-inflammatory, gentle, grounding. Greens? Yes, but rotate them. Romaine today, dandelion greens tomorrow. Avoid the trap of spinach and kale every single morning. Even good things become burdens when repeated without pause. And skip the nut butters. If you need fat, try a spoon of hemp seeds or a splash of flax oil. Lighter, easier to digest, still nourishing. Keep it simple. 3 to 5 ingredients max, cold, maybe, but some days try room temperature, especially if your digestion feels sluggish. Healing smoothies aren't meant to shock the system, they're meant to harmonize with it. They're a whisper to the body, not a shout. And the most important ingredient? Awareness. Blend with it, sip with it. Let it be the thread that connects your choices to your well-being. Because when your smoothie becomes a dialogue between food and liver, taste and energy, you and your age, something shifts. Not just in how you feel, but in how you live. You didn't mess this up. You didn't fail your health. You followed what you believed was right. You made the smoothie. You skipped the processed food. You chose greens over grease, fruit over frosting. You said yes to wellness again and again. And if your body isn't responding the way it used to, it's not because you got it wrong. It's because your body changed and now it's asking you to change with it. It's not shouting, it's asking. With the bloating, with the fatigue, with the weight that won't move, with the labs that look off despite all your effort. These are not punishments, these are invitations. Your body is trying to adapt, trying to heal, trying to guide you back to something simpler, something slower. And it starts with letting go of the belief that more is always better. Because your liver, it doesn't need a war to fight every morning. It doesn't need 15 things to sort through before your day even begins. It needs space, it needs breath, it needs rest between the meals. And your routine doesn't have to disappear. It just has to soften. Swap the flood for a gentle stream. Swap the pressure for patience. Choose 2 or 3 whole ingredients that nourish without overwhelming. Let your smoothie be a whisper, not a wave. This is what healing looks like now. It looks like subtraction, not addition. Stillness, not speed. Listening, not striving. And that's not giving up. That's growing wise. That's recognizing that your body, after all it's carried, doesn't need you to try harder. It needs you to try differently. So tomorrow morning, when you reach for that blender, pause. Ask yourself, what would feel kind to my body today? That answer, quiet, steady, unglamorous, is your medicine now. And when you listen to it, really listen, your liver listens back. And for the first time in a long time, it exhales.